to show them off, please believe I am taking it. I'm taking it with both palms. And so Sharonda is one of our entrepreneurs at Startup. And not only has she been a part of our program, but she's been an important part of the South Florida community. And there has been a light shined on her for the work that she has done in Miami-Dade County. And I plan on playing the video. I plan on playing the video in regards to the award that she received this year for the work that she's done during the pandemic. And I'm super, super proud of her. I'm super proud of all of our companies. Some of them are in this chat and they have been, advocates for us as South Florida entrepreneurs. But we wanted to replay this moment of Sharonda receiving an award from Channel 10. So tech team, if you could click play for me, I would appreciate it.
So while we can't host this year's ceremony with our past and present awards recipients under one roof, the power of technology and television has brought us together to celebrate life. So let's begin with the night's first award. It's the Leadership Award, which recognizes someone with exceptional character and a heart for helping others succeed.
The winner of the 2020 Life Award for Leadership is Sharonda Day.
Through a baking business named in honor of her late mom, Sharonda turned bitter experiences into sweet success. Our viewers thought she had all the right ingredients to receive this recognition, and here's why.
One of the things that my mother taught me before she passed is that remember all things work together for the good of them who love the Lord. And I was fortunate to work with and for someone and learn from that person, right? And from the other people around me in that era. And when that was taken away, if you will, I didn't know how I would be able to continue to do what I know I was created to do. And I just began to pray. And I just got this unction to go in the house and bake a cake. And I baked all of this stuff and I was like, what am I supposed to do with this? And I just got the idea to go take it down to the county building where I used to work. The people that were a part of my former life have been reworked as characters in my then present life, right? Because they were my first customers.
Hi, I'm Sharonda, and I am the owner of Sweet Lanes & Co.
A few years back, they created a Startup FIU food program, and I was blessed to be a part of that first cohort that went through there. And from that gave me access to a commercial kitchen. And it also gave me access to employ people who may have had moments in their lives that weren't the best moments, right? And could not get jobs in other places. For me, this award is for everybody who did not give up in the race, but found some strength to endure.
And here she is, the newly crowned winner of the 2020 Leadership Award. Sharonda, how are you feeling tonight?
Oh man, I'm excited. I feel so blessed, so grateful, and I'm shocked at the same time.
Sharonda is proof that the distinct mark of good leadership is the selfless concern for the well-being of others.
Ooh, okay. I am so proud of you, and I think that we are all proud of you. I'm speaking on behalf of Startup FIU and all of us here in South Florida in regards to the work that you do. And this is why I thought you would be the perfect person to moderate this conversation, the importance of giving back, the importance of highlighting, using the work that we do for good, right? And being able to take that energy into the new year. And so without further ado, I would like to introduce you to Sharonda Day, owner of Sweet Lanes. Thank you for moderating this conversation, Sharonda.
Thank you for asking me, boss lady. Sideways saying it. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do. That was difficult for me, y'all, to watch myself. I don't do well with that whole and I mean, I know I'm preaching to the choir, but it's like when you do what you do just simply because that's who you are and that's what you were literally created to do, you do it and never think twice about it. Like you don't think about the awards, you don't think about the accolades, you don't think about none of it really. If you set out to feed somebody, you just want to make sure you feed everybody that's in the line. And so I am grateful for all of the awards that we've happened to win over this last year. Has been crazy with the awards. And my daughter just laughed. She was like, "You plan on taking any of these out the box and putting them up?" And I'm like, "I can't right now because I'm trying to figure out how I'm gonna feed the next, crowd of people or figure out what we're gonna do to service our community." But this conversation today, I think, is timely because of where we are, not only in our communities, but in this country. Where people are literally reinventing themselves on a daily basis or trying to find the strength to pivot. A joke that we have in my crew is like we've been pivoting in 6-inch pumps and trying to parent at the same time and keep our balance. And it has been difficult, but we've been able to manage. And I am blessed to be moderating / on this panel with some amazing people who are doing amazing work in the community. It takes more than one to get it done. And although we all kind of function in our own cycles, if you will, we're serving. It's like if you take everybody that we're serving and put them in the same room, the impact that we are having on our community would probably blow the average person's mind. If you take the hundreds that Danny and them feed every morning for breakfast and with the community fridge, and then if you take the people that actually educates and feeds from the neighborhood communities and put them in the room and teach them how to legitimize their businesses by putting them in the room with Malcolm, right? And then finding out a way to tap into that money Mahogany got over there that we're gonna get to in just a second. We could really, really take this city over with the social services and make a social impact on our community. So if y'all wanna start,
without further ado, I step to the back. This is the last congratulations from me for the year, at least for 2020. But I just want to say I am proud of you. And as a community, I am thankful for this panel because you all have been doing the work that has been desperately needed in 2020. And we are all grateful for the services that you give to our community. So thank you all so much. I'm going to step back as Sharonda takes it away.
All right, y'all. So I guess we should first do this little round robin, introduce yourselves, say your organizations, what it is that you do. In our practice session the other day, let's just run it like we are. We're real people who are talking to real people who are really trying to impact change. And so I'm one for, man, if you know the answer, bro, just give me the answer. Like, don't sit there and watch me struggle when you've already mastered it. Because the time that I'm wasting trying to figure this out, we could be working on something else together. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just going to go in order that I see it on the screen. Ashley, if you want to start.
Good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Ashley Carter. I'm one of the founders and directors of Eat Well Exchange. So Eat Well Exchange, we're a 501c3 nonprofit. We teach communities how to eat healthier, but with a focus on their cultural foods. So we're registered dietitians by trade, but now we have started gardening to teach communities how to increase access. We started providing cooking classes as well, so that as people begin to have more access to foods, they know how to properly cook them so they can maintain their nutritional value. We work on the political level as well. We recently advocated for USDA's guidelines, dietary guidelines, and our overall mission is just to make sure that the communities that are in the low socioeconomic levels can have better access to foods so that way they can eat more nutritiously, and that way we can prevent negative health outcomes.
That was quick.
Thank you.
With a bow on it. Who's next on the Mahogany?
Hey, can you hear me?
We can. I can.
Hi, guys. My name is Mahogany Sherry. I work at Bacardi. Over the last 4.5 months, I've taken on a new role of business transformation and engagement. Sharonda, are we allowed to curse today? A little.
Did you say curse? Yes.
Just a little. So I have taken on the role of shaking shit up at Bacardi, right? And making sure that from a talent and recruitment or a commercial or a marketing perspective, we're showing up for the community in a diverse and inclusive way. We're building programs left and right to make sure that we are doing right to, by, and for the community from here on out. So this is my new role. I'm really excited to be here today. I'm humbled to be on this panel with such incredible people, and I hope you guys enjoy what we're going to present to you.
Yay, I like you already. Yes, shake your shit up. Malcolm.
Sure. Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on this panel with such great individuals and great ideas. My name is Malcolm Cardona Spence. I work as a small business manager for Catalyst Miami. We're a local nonprofit, really focusing in the advocacy and policy in the community. My particular focus is in community economic development and low-income communities and working with small businesses. We're a technical assistance provider and a financial aid provider. We help run different projects and really help connect small businesses with the opportunities that they need and try to tackle some of those access gaps. So I'm just looking forward to highlighting the small businesses in our community and all the great work and resilience that they've shown.
All right, Danny, on you.
It's me. How y'all doing, family? My name is Danny. I am co-founder of a group called the Roots Collective. We have a nonprofit wing where we do community work, as well as several businesses under our umbrella. One is a clothing line, a printing company. We do a Black and brown specific marketplace for some small businesses in South Florida. And a new thing that we've kind of been thrusted into is we host community fridges throughout South Florida to help fill the void during this COVID pandemic. And so it's been a journey, but we're figuring it out as we go along because we want to make sure we're helping our people.
All right, y'all. So don't be over there holding on to the mute buttons. Like we're ready to go all in.
Take mine off.
Yeah, go ahead and take it off. Because I was thinking, and I was just like, okay, so because my mind just does that sometimes. And Ashley, I think the question, I think this is a good place to start it, right? Because we have to start it at the ground. And so before roots can catch, you have to have ground that is fertile enough to plant it, right? So, I think if you talk to us a little bit about your community gardens and kind of like talk about how you went about accessing the land, how you went about partnering with whomever owns the land in order to plant, because I think there are a lot of people who have access and desire, right, to plant and to garden, because our communities used to be full of community gardens. And then one day you come through over town, like the beautiful gardens just was taken up. At the Jack, well, I don't know if it's called the Jack anymore. I'm telling my age at this point, but at the juvenile jail on 27th Avenue, there used to be a community garden that was built by a friend of mine. And then all of a sudden it's gone. And so maybe you could talk to us a little bit about the process of accessing land, like in our neighborhoods. And I'm sure Danny can speak to this. Like we have empty lots where homes used to be and people now dump there. Whereas we could probably communicate with the owners to access that property, turn it into a community garden that's in the middle of the block, right? Which if you get people involved in planting things in their own neighborhood, and it will probably increase the pride in the neighborhood to keep them from dumping and to take care of something. So maybe you can talk to us a little bit about, I see you writing that down, Daddy, go ahead, because I ain't digging in the So tell us about it, Ashley, about that process.
Okay, well, we have 2 gardens currently. Our first garden that we established was in Grand Guave, Haiti. And it was not planned. We actually went to Haiti on a mission trip. We went over there to teach them how they can use their foods to eat healthier. And while we were there, we noticed the difficulty when it came to accessing food. So the organization we partner with, called Carl's Village, they're actually based in Grand Guave, Haiti. So they have land. So we use their land to start the garden. So I know it's different because that's international and it was also on their property. The garden that we have in Sebring, Florida, that one was through a partnership as well with Highlands County. And also that one is on a property as well. So we know that when it comes to the gardens, because we were asked about the one in Overtown earlier before, and we heard that there was issues with zoning and different things like that. So again, like I said, I'm a dietitian, so I don't know about all of the zoning and everything that goes into it. So I would always recommend that if you are going to do a garden or anything like that, to have a team and make sure someone on your team is privy to the different zoning requirements. Also, if there's any type of city ordinances, because some cities don't allow you to grow in your front yards. So if that's the case, you can start a garden and it may get dug up in a couple of years or maybe in a couple of months. So I would just say do your research on the land or on the city if there's any requirements before you start doing the work, because they don't come right away. You can start your garden and maybe in 4 months, that's when they'll come and start digging it up when you actually have produce. So I know it's a lot of politics behind it, and you don't have to be into politics to start a garden, but you just have to partner with someone who is. And that's what we have done in both of our gardens.
And that's what I was going to say, right? So politics is it's a subject for me because that's how I got my start in this community, right? In my 20s and in my 30s, I was just thrusted into being the chief of staff for a great politician, and I was green, right? And wet behind the ears real bad, but I learned quick because it was my neighborhood and my community. And so what I think we have to do, especially now that we're getting younger representation on these different, city and county and state levels, that all it takes is somebody to change it, right? Regardless of what it has been. It's time to realize that we have a lot more power than just bubbling in for somebody to vote for them. After I vote for you, I got a list for you, right? And so we collectively come together with a list of what is better for our communities and what we need in our communities. It takes nothing but somebody to put together an ordinance or a resolution to have it change. It just hasn't been changed because not enough people have collectively come together to challenge the old and require the new. So Danny, what do you think about, along these lines of neighborhood gardens and rules and regulations and all of those things?
Yeah, we need them. I know that behind my shop, we have a lot, and it's random because they just now cut all of the trees down, but it was overgrown. There were trees coming into the street. We actually reached out to the owner. We asked if we could purchase it. The owner was not having it. The thing about Miami is that there's not a lot of Black ownership. And so the people who we have to call don't look like us and don't identify with our struggle. We're right in the heart of Liberty City on 7th Avenue. And most people who have properties in Liberty City right now, they're looking for the quick flip because you got the Wynwoods coming up, you got the Overtowns, they're starting to shift. And so all of the individuals who own things, they just want to profit. And so we know that we're in a food desert, and the reason why we're doing some of the work that we're doing now is because we saw how bad it was. And then you put on top of that people losing their jobs, and it turns into an entire other beast. So like by our shop, all we have is Burger King, which is probably the worst one in the city. We have Popeyes, which is across the street, and then everywhere else you got, it's nothing. You got corner stores and convenience stores with chips and sodas, but you don't have any healthy food. And so a mission with what we're doing now is so that we're supplying not just healthy food, but meals for families so that they can take home and actually take care of their kids and the elders in the household. So I think we need them. It's hard to start them because none of us know how to grow. I've never grown anything personally. Fortunately, a lot of these houses or if you're in an apartment complex, you got the avocados. We got lucky and got some jackfruit in our backyard, but there's not any skills training on how to grow these things when it's really easy to do. So we need property, we need land, we need to know how to do this stuff. So I think people like Ashley are important because they're teaching us how to do something that's so easy. And it's actually our roots, pun intended.
It literally, that's why I was like, before we could deal with the roots, we got to deal with the land, right?
Yeah.
In order to plant things so that they catch, so their roots have an opportunity to flourish and to grow. And I think a lot of it, as you said, it takes those who have the knowledge on how to grow, right? And combining that with those who have the knowledge to work land contracts. Like, I'm not asking you to let me buy your land, but I am asking you for a land contract. Give me 1 year, right? Until to grow some stuff on this land, and then take it from there. Like, there are different ways around it that people who, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to interject because this is something that's mind-boggling to me. There are people who are really good at doing these land, I don't know even what you call them, these land deals. Just recently, one of the commissioners gave some group, and yes, they're black-led organization of women, but they gave them a bunch of properties throughout the city that they can flip. And Miami is very, very corrupt. So when I heard it, I'm like, okay, this commissioner passed this through, and the people who she gave it to, they can rebuild homes and do low income properties. But then I'm thinking, okay, so you're giving these people these plots of land for $1, and they get to profit off of these low income families. And who's to say that that money that they're making is getting put back into the community? So it's just like there are people who know how to write these words, and there's a lot of land just literally being given away, and we got to be the ones to kind of tap in and be like, yeah, you're black, but also where's the parks? Where's the schools? We need resources.
Exactly, and that's why I'm glad that Mahogany and both Malcolm are on, because it's going to take us to partner with corporations, major corporations who are vested in our communities because they have, facilities in our community. They employ people from our community. And it's like, okay, so now partner with our community, because the better we are as a community, then the better your corporation is, right? Then the more of a community arm that you have, and then you won't have to necessarily, we're grateful that they hired Mahogany and put her in a position to shake some shit up. But obviously it was because there was a lot of stuff that had settled to the bottom that everybody just wanted to act like it's supposed to settle. Like, settling ain't really what we do. It's just what we've become. And so it's partnering with people, and we may not have the attorneys who have the lingo and the understanding nor do we have the funding, but you have a community partner like a Bacardi, right? Who may have access to some land or can give us some community attorneys or legal work to help us write it the right way and formulate ourselves as a true collective, and work with organizations like Catalyst to ensure that the collective has its paperwork and its legal gamut in place to be funded, right, by a Bacardi or by someone else as a funding arm, so that we too can get on a county's agenda and be like, oh, we giving this organization that is made of a collective of organizations that have dietitians and this, that, and the other to develop our community. Mahogany, what do you think about, going back to some community private partnerships in order to better the communities in which these corporations sit in and serve?
Yeah, I think it's great, Sharonda. I think that goes very in tangent with what we're doing now in the programs that we're trying to start at Bacardi. I don't know how long a lot of the audience has been on. I know Dr. Anna said some have been on all day, but if you've been seeing some of the reels, one of the programs that we just launched 2 weeks ago is called Backing the Bar. And it's an initiative that we launched with the NAACP to award not just current and Black-owned businesses that have businesses, but people who are aspiring to start businesses. And we're awarding them with grants from an on and off premise account. So whether it's bars, whether it's restaurants, nightclubs, lounges, liquor stores, e-commerce businesses, we're trying to help you get off the ground with these grants. And this is to help support, very similar to what Daniel said, people that look like us, right? We want to build them up, and we're providing them. The application is open until December 24th, but not only are we providing them with the funds, the $10,000 in grants, but we're also providing them with access to industry-specific education, portals, custom solutions, networks, so that we're not just giving you money and running away, right? We want to see you succeed. We want to see you strive, and we want to help you get there. And I think very similar to what we're doing, there's a lot of different organizations that are doing the same thing in different industries. So even though we're hitting bars and nightclubs and lounges, there are people that are helping communities where we are in Miami and around the US.
You know, it's interesting, right? And this is just us talking. In our neighborhood, we don't need no help with the liquor stores and the bars and the, you know, it's one of those things, like we need the help to fund juice businesses or beverage businesses that have health juice, you know, and natural juices and natural teas and things like that to benefit the health and the longevity of life in our communities. And many of you don't know, but because of the pandemic shift, right, my food service business had to pivot. And so we had to pivot and partner with neighborhood gardens and farmers that had excess produce and excess herb. And we created a defense tea line, right? So we have 6 different flavors of defense tea, and all of our, it's Black owned and it's Black grown. We literally source all of our stuff from a 70-year-old Black woman who owns her own land and farms her own thing. So we go there and we buy it up so that she doesn't have to throw it away. And then we turn it into all natural juices and things to help our community build their immunity. The liquor store ain't never closed, even when we was on lockdown.
You know what the funny thing is, Sharonda? It never closed, but it was never owned by a Black person.
Exactly. And that's
right.
It's never owned by a Black person, but it's kept open by Black people, right? Unfortunately, because of where it is strategically open and set up. The convenience stores, you know, you're not gonna find that many of them that are still Black owned, simply because of that. And so therefore you're not gonna find like fresh hot food in a convenience store like you used to when we were kids. At least you could go in there and get you a good meal in the back of the convenience store. But now it's like, other than who them people, y'all, I'm pescatarian, so I don't know, the people that fry that chicken and shake the dust, snappers. So like, you know, you're gonna find like, y'all know what I'm talking about. That's stuff that you know, you find stuff like that, or like in Danny's case, you're next door to a Burger King and across the street from a Popeyes. And if you're looking for anything else up and down in between, you scarred, you know. And so, so that takes me to Danny. Malcolm, I'm coming. Just put your seatbelt on. It takes me to Danny. Danny, what made you, or what was the drive or the force behind starting the community fridge?
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna give you a little bit of the Roots Collective's identity. So our mission since we started in 2014 is to build Black, whether that's Black businesses, Black people, Black authors, artists. We want to build Black. And so starting out, one of our missions has always been to create businesses so that we can sustain ourselves. I started out in this world. I'm from Chicago. I got 2 felonies. I had to leave. I got locked up in 2010. I got out in 2011, moved with my older brother to North Carolina. He attended FAMU. Trayvon Martin gets killed in 2012. So that catapulted me into the political atmosphere. And so while I was doing work, we started an organization called the Dream Defenders. That lasted, it's still going to this day. But while I was in that organization, I realized that the base of the individuals in the group were college-based individuals. I'm a high school dropout. And so I wanted to create something that identified with me and how I wanted to move. And so I created the Roots Collective to be able to identify and target folks that stayed in places that I stayed in Chicago. And so since then, we've always made sure to use our own network to build our brands out. And so the brainchild behind the community fridge is a young lady named Sharonda Jones. She's the most passionate person I know. We've done work around different things up prior to this, but she reached out to me in August, and she knows that we have a community hub. Anybody is welcome to our space. And so she introduced the idea of putting the fridge. Initially, we had some hesitation, but when we began to think about it, we understood how important something like this could be to the community. And so I said, let's run it. We had a back and forth about whether we should have it inside, whether we should have it outside. And of course, we have some pool in the city. So I said, let's run it outside. If somebody takes it, that it is what it is. We understand the plight of the community. When we first started, there were some pushback between the state, and we just told them that if you fuck with us, it's gonna be some backlash, because we had to kind of strong arm, because it might be a cold issue with having a fridge outside, but we had to push back, and we understand because we have a network that if they try to stop us from doing something good in our community, that we could literally create an uproar. And what it would end up doing at the end of the issue is showing the need and the lack of support that is coming from up top. And so right now we're feeding, it's lines every day. If you drive down 7th Avenue from 9 a.m. to 12 p.m., you'll see lines of families out to get food. The one thing that differs from us, there's other individuals who have created some fridges, but we supply hot foods. We literally give bags of food to individuals every day, and the community has been supporting. So it's something that we don't want to have to keep doing forever, but for right now, we have enough support to make this thing keep rolling.
Yeah, I mean, how is funding for that setup? Like, I'm coming for you, Malcolm. Just, you've been coasting a little bit over there. I'm coming though. How has it been funding wise? Because I think a couple of weeks ago, maybe a week or two or so ago, like you wake up, you go out there and the refrigerator gone. It happens, right? Who walks off with a whole refrigerator? It's just
the day before Thanksgiving.
Yeah, that's just
no.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. And remind me to come loop back around to Thanksgiving, because I think that's another reason why this panel is so important. How is funding for the fridge? Like, how are you receiving donations? Because there are people who are watching who have food and beverage businesses, right? And a lot of people have excess stuff, right? Because sales aren't as high as they have been, or people are just in a giving mood, or should be anyway. So how's it set up? How do people donate? How do people give? What that look like?
Yeah, so it's all been the community stepping up. So people have been donating. We have a donation link. I'm not a Zoomer, but I'll try to drop it in here somewhere. But we have a link that is set up for folks to donate. We've had a large amount of support. My business partner, he's from here. He's connected with a lot of the heavy hitters. So a lot of the football players have reached out to him. We've had an artist called Major 9. He just donated a community freezer. So now we can store the food that people drop off inside, so we can make sure things don't perish. So it's literally been folks just stepping up. They're dropping the $5, the $10. We had a young lady a couple of weeks ago. She dropped off almost $1,000 worth of baby gear with Pampers and strollers. And so people understand that there's a lot of support needed. And if they got a little bit extra, they're coming together. And this thing is literally, it was one time where we got really, really low, because with the Roots, we probably put about $10,000 in it. But it was one time where we were down to our last like $500. And somehow I think maybe an article came out, and boom, the link was shared and folks started donating more. So now, and you know, we had to think about how to keep this thing sustainable. So we've created a monthly sustainer link so folks can put the $5 in there. So we at least know that every month we'll have a little bit of money coming in.
Malcolm, out of the people that you have worked with, and why are you laughing, Mahogany? I told him I was coming for him. I said his name's so sweet.
I know, that's why I'm laughing.
Malcolm, out of all of the people that you've worked with throughout this era of the pandemic, if you will, this COVID era, can you share with us some maybe funding compilations that maybe we don't know of, or some ideas that you have where organizations can, we ain't talking about commingling funds, you go to jail for that kind of stuff, and orange ain't my color, but I'm talking about like a way to pool resources, if you will, in order to support organizations like the Eat Well Exchange and the Roots Collective, you know, and tagging in community partners such as Bacardi and other corporations. Can you give us some creative funding ideas that we may not be aware of, or things that we can do to position ourselves for creative crowdfunding?
Sure. So I think a panel like this is great. I mean, we have community members that are really pushing the work. We have a technical assistance provider in myself, and we have a funder in Bacardi present. So establishing these relationships where you can have a large institution like Bacardi that is oftentimes contracting with external entities, you know, trying to bring the lowest cost products, trying to, you know, like Danny said, mentioned earlier, there's a lot of outside investors, people that have businesses in the community, but aren't from the community, do not operate in the community. So by partnering with larger institutions that are able to contract with the real small businesses that we're in tandem with, that we organize with, we're able to really extend that reach, because as it is now, programs come out as the pandemic hit, PPP, EIDL, those programs came out, they rolled out, tons of people applied, but who really ended up getting the funds? Most of the communities that we work with, the low wealth communities, the funds didn't trickle down that far. There's people, there's small businesses, and then there's smaller micro businesses, which is really the majority of businesses in our communities. There's sole proprietorships that have been operating, you know, without registering. There's smaller single member LLCs. There's all different types of entities that, you know, they're just really just on the outside of the like funding realm. And sometimes it's not knowing the opportunities are out there, and sometimes the systems in place aren't constructed for them to find out about those opportunities. So what we're trying to do with our work is really first be small business focused and community focused, really tackle the individual issues small businesses are facing, and getting those businesses to a point to operate within their own networks, build contracts that will, let's say Roots Collective can contract with Ashley's organizations, with the farm, and then those two businesses will have the capacity to work with a larger institution to really secure maybe a contract for a year for something that they're already supplying or already have suppliers for, but aren't necessarily routed in the community. So a lot of times organizations and big corporations are coming into Miami, coming into our communities, and you know, expressing that they're creating jobs, or you know, that they're really doing well for the community. But what we need is those funding opportunities to really come directly into the community, to the communities we work with, and allow for contracting and grants. And as far as like opportunities that are out there right now, there's different organizations that have offered grants and loans during the pandemic. Right now, there's the RISE loan, which there was a flyer for before this meeting started, which is a low interest loan. And, you know, there's different organizations. The South Florida Regional Council had a grant program recently. So there's different organizations. To get into specifics, you know, you could always email me, or we can talk one-on-one to see what really qualifies for a specific small business. But on a broader scale, we really need to get these larger anchor institutions connected with the smallest of businesses.
Yeah, you mentioned Rise, and I'm not sure if everybody knows it, but they've made a change to the program where now your first payment isn't due till February of 2022. So you practically got a whole year, right, to work that money and to begin to make some money back on that money before you have to worry about paying it back. And it's with the interest rate as low as it is, the payment probably won't be that much. So if you haven't checked that program out, you know, a lot of us aren't really interested. We kind of shy away from the loan part of it because you have to think about the repayment. But adding that caveat to giving us a whole year, you know, gave me a little more, I don't know, compellingness to share the idea of the Rise program. I was sharing it anyway, but then when MJ shared with me that they made some changes to the payback on it, I think it's something that that smaller businesses, micro businesses, right, really, really small ones, can look into, because it's not something that'll get you in debt because of the interest rate and the payback. And when I mentioned Thanksgiving earlier, and Danny just mentioned it about Thanksgiving, and I'm sitting here and I'm looking at this panel. So for Thanksgiving, my organization, the Sweet Exchange Miami, we did what was called Grace Giving. We had a Grace Giving dinner on Thanksgiving Day, where we literally went out and we fed hundreds of people on Thanksgiving. They sat at tables that had linen and chairs and centerpieces, the same way you would sit at your house on Thanksgiving is the way we fed. And it was open to anybody. And I was sitting here and I was saying, we did that. We collected money and we did the resources, and I cooked everything. So for all of those people, we cooked it. Smoked turkey, you name it, whatever it was there. And I'm looking at this panel and I'm saying, wow, Christmas is coming. There are so many people who are going to be hungry. Toys are great. Okay, don't get me wrong. Turkeys are good. But if you know that the majority of the people that are standing in your line don't have a house to cook them turkeys in, right, you already know where them turkeys at. They hustling turkeys to try to get what it is they actually need, because they ain't got nowhere to cook them turkeys. That's why they standing in food lines every morning, right? So I'm figuring if organizations like ours that are connected here, where you have a dietitian who has access to healthy foods and knowledge of what foods are better to eat and how to prepare them in a way that tastes well. You have somebody like Danny who's sitting here who has access to the people who need to be fed because they're in his line every day. You have someone like me who has access to a commercial kitchen, who can cook, who doesn't mind cooking. I actually hate cooking for 2 people. I'd rather cook for 200. It's just easier because I'm from Louisiana and that's just kind of the way we do it. And then you have somebody like a Malcolm who can tell us how to structure ourselves to make sure we're positioned for funding. And you got this good old community partner, as in Bacardi, who can just be a title sponsor and help us feed more people. I mean, there are ways that if people are more open to connecting with each other and sharing what it is that we do, the impact of service could be so much greater than what we're having. We're all doing a hell of a job, right? But it's almost like, do you impact this mass of people, or do you impact the masses? And the way that because you get burnt out when you're trying to do it on your own. If Ashley has to figure out where to plant the food and teach you how to cook it and find a way to cook it, find a facility to you don't have to do all of that, especially when you have organizations like mine and like a Danny, where we already have cooking classes. I'm about to have a virtual cooking class while these kids are on vacation for 2 weeks driving their mamas crazy, because they're already in the house. So every day for 2 hours, give them to me. Just give them to me on Zoom, sit them in front of a computer, in front of a phone, and we're going to figure out how to cook something and something healthy. So that means we need an Ashley in our life, right? That can tell us what to pull together from a community box. Then we have a Danny in our lives that say, hey, I have access to single moms, single parents who have these kids and have nowhere for them to go, nothing for them to do, because you're already running a Wi-Fi school. Because obviously there is a need for somewhere safe for the kids to go while their parents go to work. And I think I'm open to hear any ideas from any of the panelists on how we can cross these lines together, right, to make a greater impact. Yes, the impact of COVID knocked the wind out of a lot of us, right? If not all of us. But let's not get it twisted. Come midnight on December 31st, we are not getting ready to wake up and be like, poof, it's gone. The shit ain't going nowhere. Right? We prayerfully hope it will subside a little bit. But it's here for a minute. And so we have to figure out, we all did our own thing to pivot and survive for the past 8 months. And it's like, how do we do an our thing to ensure that more people are able to survive? And I guess we can go one by one on any ideas of how we do this together to impact not just the generation we're serving, but the generations to come. Because what we do now, these kids are watching how we handle this time. Like, they're learning how to handle the stress of uncertainties and what to do when there's not enough food and there's not enough money. They're watching us. So why not have them watch all of us do something so to teach them how to work together with people? So we can go one by one. Whoever wants to hit it first, be my guest.
Sure, I can just touch base and say, I think you hit it on the head with the community aspect. If small businesses can come together in this community and really focus on that community wealth building aspect, those contracts, those city contracts, those school board contracts, those government contracts, these are things that, have constant revenue streams that often go underlooked. They're looking for, Black and brown folks and indigenous folks and different populations. But oftentimes we're so siloed in our approaches and so hesitant to share our ideas with others that, oftentimes we're doing such similar things that if we just connected the links and connected the chains, we could get to those larger contracts and larger grant opportunities.
Agreed.
And I'll also say that it's to get rid of the competition mindset. Okay. And I can give you several examples where I thought of something, I wanted to do something. I can literally show you on my Instagram that Eat Well Exchange, we posted about community fridges in New York City, and we loved the idea. But once I found out that Roots had it, my first thought was not, oh no, they took our idea. It's how can I support them?
Right.
If they're doing it already, it's already off the ground. Great. So now let me go ahead and donate. And that's what we did. So, and also with Overtown, we found out that they had a garden there and we were asked to do a garden in Overtown first. But once we found out their garden was there, I'm in the soil with them because that's not my competition, because it's not about Eat Well Exchange. It's not about Ashley. It's about the work. So a lot of times we have to get out of this mindset of saying like, oh no, it's another dietitian. It's another nonprofit. They're doing what I'm doing. They took my idea, whatever it may be. No, we're all in this together to do the same work. So when that's being said, we have to start throwing out names more. If someone tells me they need shirts done, they should go to Roots. If someone says they need, any type of financial advising for their business, they should go to Catalyst. So it's really throwing out names and just saying like, hey, I know this person. Let me connect you with this person. And also when we meet people, one thing I'm very big on is stating your intentions. So if I was to go out, and I met Sharonda, I would say, okay, I love what you're doing. I know that you can cook for 3,000 people over a weekend. How can we work together? Because just meeting you and, getting your information is great. But if we don't set intentions on how we can work together, nothing will ever happen. Yep. So it's not only networking, but it's also making plans in real time, saying, okay, Sharonda, before February, let's sit down. Let's do this. I can do this. I can bring this. How can we work together? Yeah. So it's really just getting our resources, saying them out loud, sharing them, and mobilizing them so that we can get more done.
Yeah, anybody got time for networking stuff? 6 feet.
And I'm going to piggyback on that, Ashley. It's not networking with the people that you know also, but it's networking with the people that you don't know, right? Because yes. I feel like even with what we're doing with Backing the Bar, I have talked and met so many people that I would have never typically reached out to because I didn't know I could, or I didn't know that they had a business, right? And now that they're reaching out to us, or now that they're hitting me up on LinkedIn randomly, like, hey, I may have someone for you. We are reaching out, right? So it's not necessarily reaching out to the people that you know, but it's expanding your network and reaching out to the people that you don't know. And like you said, saying, I know that you have something that may help me. How do we support each other and raise each other up?
Definitely.
And those are conversations that we don't really have. And I know Danny.
But people are scared to have them, right? Because they're used to going to their circle. But I think the way that you expand and the way that you get bigger is to think bigger and to go hard or go home, right? Like you have to step out of your comfort zone sometimes to get things that you want.
Agreed.
So I'll piggyback directly to that. So the reason why we created the Roots Black Marketplace was because I knew I've never ran a business before, and I knew how terrible I was at it. One thing that I was able to do is that I would do a lot of vending at different events, and I just am an openly talkative person when it comes to me making my money. And so I can easily pull people and make sales. The reason why I wanted to do the marketplace is because we didn't have that on hand training. And so when it's time to actually start something or reach out, or because one of my notes is partnership is the biggest thing. But if the person who you're trying to partner with doesn't know how to do what they really love to do the right way, then you everything fails. And so with the marketplace, the point of it is we want to make sure we have that on-hand training. We want to make sure you know how to talk to people. We want to make sure that you're professional. We want to make sure that you're making money and we're growing together. And so we need to kind of just bounce off of each other. And one thing within our printing company, this year for us has been amazing as far as financially. Our mission of ours has always been not to set outside money. And so up until this point, we've not gotten any donor money or anything like that. We've only had grassroots support and we funded ourselves. But this year, because we do one thing really well, which is the printing, we've gotten those, like Malcolm said, those large contracts. And now what we're able to do is, okay, we have a network of printers within this body of ours. So there are some things that we do in-house, but we do also have 5 other people who are able to eat off of the big contracts that we have. And so what we're doing is, you know how to screen print really well, you know how to embroider really well. Okay, there's no reason for us to try to keep all of this wealth just in the Black House. We're gonna throw it all out, and now everybody eats, and we're coming up together. And so we ask ourselves, what machinery do we need now? What's gonna make our process smoother? How can we tighten up? And that thing is so beautiful to see, because now, you know, people getting little cars, and they taking their families out, and it's uplifting everybody. So we just need to really work with each other, and we gotta have the goal. That's the last thing I say. We gotta have the goal. Where do we wanna go? What are we trying to change? Our goal is not to keep the community fridges going. We need a pantry. You know, like the Black Panther free food program that transitions into free food and free lunch at schools. How can we create a stipend for individuals in the community who can't work, who can't make a living for themselves, and so that they're fed? So we got to think about what's next when we're doing the work that we're doing.
I agree. And one of the, I'm not a Zoomer. I'm a little too old to be looking this way and looking at this. Is be too much going on. But I was looking at the comments. He said that we have to see each other more as resources and not competition. You know, unfortunately, right, in the BIPOC community, that's just, it's almost like the shit is innate. Like you almost immediately look at somebody else and you start comparing yourself to that person based on what they have that you might not have, and how they look this way and you don't look this way. And so that competitive thing, what we don't realize is the more you see somebody as your competition, the more you lose in that competition, whatever that competition, that silent competition is. And as Ashley said, like, your intentions have to be set and they have to be pure, because we've all been burnt once or twice or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 times out here in this game. And it kind of makes you want to think twice, right, about partnering with people. But when you understand that it's so much bigger than you, and it's so much bigger than that person. And when you have set the goal for the people that you are setting out to serve, I don't even see you, bro. I just want to make sure that whatever it is you're supposed to bring to this table, that we are preparing for the people to eat from, or to receive what they need from, just bring your stuff to the table. I'm not interested in, you know, the networking piece is great, but I think sometimes people misunderstand networking with becoming friends and all of that other kind of stuff. Like, we ain't got to do all that.
No.
Right? Because personally, you just may not be that, it just may not flow, may not ebb and flow, but business wise. And if that is our goal and that is our focus and that is our intention, is to build wealth in our communities. If they did it before, right, in the Black Panther era and all of these other community eras, like, we can do it again. We're the ones that are standing in our own way, because there are some people, as Danny said, you may not have the knowledge on how to do this. You may not business well. You may not business well, but you may create well, right? Or you may design well, or you may concept well. So then you need somebody who business well, and that's all they do is handle the business part of it while you create, while Ashley implements, right? And then while it all kind of comes together. We have about 15 minutes left. Is there any particular, you know, thing anyone else wants to talk about that you feel that you can be a resource to the community, or some words of wisdom to the people? Because there's a lot going on in our chat. Y'all, I'm trying, y'all. I'm getting dizzy. The conversations in the chat going about ego. You know, for me, that ego thing is honestly a mindset. Like, no man ought to think highly of themselves more than they should. Now, that's in the Bible. So for me, if you think more of yourself than you should, like, you should probably stay by yourself, because the rest of us ain't really thinking about you like that. The rest of us are sitting here thinking about the people that need to eat, and the people who need resources in their homes, and the people who can't afford their rent this month, or the people who are still hoping that rent moratorium lawsuits keep them in their apartments any longer. People who are now living in their cars with their kids, you know, kids who can't go to school and are failing because they don't have access to internet in their homes. Like, ain't nobody thinking about you and your ego. It's time to work, and it's time to work to rebuild our communities. If we tired of looking at the slum and blight, we're gonna keep talking about it, or we're gonna do something about it. And I think collectively we can turn our communities into what we want them to be. So any last words or anything?
Well, I was just thinking while you were talking, a very important topic is learning how to shift throughout times. And I feel like this year was one that forced everybody to shift, no matter what industry you're in. It really forced you to stop whatever you were doing for a month or two, or maybe even to this point, and really evaluate what you're doing and discover, how can I continue? And I could say for Eat Well Exchange, before the pandemic occurred, we had a culinary academy in Hollandale Beach. We worked with the kids twice a week. We were gardening, doing all of these great things. Every weekend of my life, I'm out in the community, cooking on someone's stage or doing something. And then March comes, and now we have the social distance. We don't know it's safe. We don't know if we can talk to people. We don't know what we can touch or not touch. You know, we don't know. We didn't even know the symptoms, really, when you think about it in March. It was a lot we didn't know. So once everything happened, I can tell you, my nonprofit, everything just had to stop for a minute. And me and my business partner, Jasmine, who's on this call, we looked at each other. We're like, what are we going to do? We have one big fundraising event every year, and that's it. And it's every April. So we're like, wait, if we don't have our event in April, that means we won't have money for the year. So it's one of those things where I feel like this year really forced us to just think outside of ourselves. And I can say, luckily, we did pivot. We did start doing more educational programs. Now we're training physicians and hospitals, and any community network that needs it, or any organization that wants cultural competency training. We're doing that now as well. We shifted our programs to online. So we're doing the online cooking classes compared to in person. But I just want everyone to know, who sees that now, that didn't happen right away. It's not like everything shut down and we just rebooted our computer and was like, all right, let's go. It didn't work that way. So for all the business owners here, and I'm sure everyone can share their story too, but it's okay to have a moment where you don't know what you're going to do, where everything that you thought you knew and everything you thought you had is taken from your hand, and you finally have to realize you have nothing that's comfortable to you. I feel like everyone in a business has went through that this year, but the difference is learning, how are you going to shift? How are you going to pivot? How are you going to take whatever this year has done to you and make it into the best year that it practically could be for you?
I think in order to do that, Ashley, it's when you think about what you're going to do, you have to think about what inspires you, right? Because when you think about what inspires you and you make that a priority, that's what you live for. And that's how you thrive. And sometimes people get into business because they're good at finance or they're good at operations or they're good at something and they don't know what inspires them. They just do it for a paycheck. I think when you shift that mentality to say, I'm going to do this because not only am I passionate about it, it inspires me to wake up every day and do right. That's when you start building that positivity from a financial perspective, from a feel-good perspective, from a partnership perspective, because you can sell what you're doing because it inspires you. That becomes your priority in times like this when you have nothing else to lean on.
Yes. Very true. And even for us, we even went back to our bylaws. We went back to our goals, to our mission. Like me and my business partner, we literally read it out loud because we're like, wait, we said we're going to impact communities. So even if we can't go into these communities physically, how are we still going to live this mission with what we have now?
Yes.
So that's definitely true.
It made all of us, it should have made all of us kind of go back to the root of who we are and who we said we were going to be, and to make sure that all of these nice sounding words that we put together as a vision and as a mission statement, that we were actually doing it. And so if anybody didn't do anything to better themselves and their community and their businesses during this time, I almost want to say shame on you, right? Because even if you did it within yourself, that work within yourself, because a lot of people are exhausted from writing visions and trying to run with them on their own, right? But that ain't what the word says. It said, write the vision, make it plain so they can run. So the problem is we trying to write it and run it all by ourselves. And when you got people that's standing over there talking about, tag me in, coach, like, I just want to get in. Like, there are people who got it for you, but we've been so tight with it that we didn't really want to tag nobody in. Everybody has a role to play. If you play your role, we can win this game, right? But we have to be willing to tag people in. And this year for me, I've been in business by myself for 12 years. I ain't never had a partner until this year, until COVID. And since getting a partner, it frees me up to do more of the vision writing, because now I got somebody who can run with it. And I don't have to tire myself out trying to figure out. At the same time, I'm trying to be in a creative space and an implementation space. And if you're creative, you understand how difficult and frustrating that is. It's like, bruh, I just want to sit in the dark and create this stuff. Don't talk to me. Don't breathe on me right now. Give me a few minutes. When I come out of here, I'm going to have a master plan. But then when you're the only one that you've tagged in, now you got to try to run with it. And then you're giving half-ass service to the community and wonder why ain't nobody in the street really messing with you like that, because you're giving half-ass service, because you're tired and you're exhausted. So I think if this time hasn't shown us anything, it should show you that it's okay to tag somebody in on the game. You're not gonna lose nothing, right? The more people you got running this game with you, the more money you can make. I mean, I ain't really trying to break it down to you how I work in the street, but the more people you got running for you, the more money you can make. It's just kind of how that works. And so it's like, if you can just tag more people in on your team, I think we all could win. Why are you laughing, Ashley? I was just trying not to, break it all the way down. But I just need them to understand, like, the more you got running, the more money you're gonna make. Yeah, Danny.
You took the words out of my mouth. I'm not going to say too much, and everything you said is on point with what I was going to say. I think just now, so I was really, really lucky because I did start I started the idea by myself, but I was fortunate because I was doing some grassroots organizing to meet a couple of people who I allowed myself to trust. One thing about it is trusting. We scar, we traumatize. So trusting is very, very difficult. But I was fortunate to link up with three to four individuals that we all have our own certain thing that we do. I'm really big at finding a thing and pulling it in. I have one other, my business partner, he handles all the paperwork. If he wasn't here, I probably wouldn't be as far as I was today. And now, because we are able to grow, we're now putting people in a specific place to make sure that we're able to function as a collective. And so we have the photographers, we have the fulfillment teams, we have to be able to put these people, because I know what I'm good at I'm not the best customer service individual. I don't necessarily need to talk to people all day.
You don't like people.
Really quick.
I said, you don't like people. That's fine.
I love the masses, the individual stuff. It drives me crazy, you know? And I know that I'm not the best at that. So we're putting people in place who love that, because some people will talk all day long. This is the most you're gonna hear me talk ever because I'm on a panel. But I know I like to just get stuff done. I'm really fast moving. And so we're just finding the right people to put in place.
I also think when you try to do too much, you burn out. And people don't realize that mental health is a big deal in the Black community. Like, people don't realize the statistics around the African American population and how many people suffer with mental illness because they try to take on too much or they try to do too much. So I think a part of everything that we're talking about and networking and collaborating, it's freeing yourself to do what you need to do to take care of yourself also, because that's a big part of the equation. Is you need to show up for you every day so you can show up for others.
I could not have said that better. Like, I really took some time, and, you know, being strong Black women and being strong Black men and being looked at as this, you know, source of strength and all of this kind of stuff, you be like, yo, that's so much fluff, right? Because strength is just pretty much what you see. Like, I was looking at a parallel of myself the other day. I literally had 15 minutes to put myself for a Zoom, for a live. And when I looked at how I looked 15 minutes before, and then how I looked at the moment, I was like, if they only understood magnitude of that 15-minute gap and what it took mentally and emotionally and spiritually to pull yourself together to be able to be what other people need you to be. It is so important that you first find time to be who you need to be for you, or you're not going to be any good for anybody else. And people can pick up on your energy. They can pick up on that vibe. Like, you snapping about, you out here handing out free food and you got an attitude. Like, why are you out here handing out free food if you mad about it? Like, don't nobody want no mad food, you know? And then you start passing that stuff off to people, and it's like, never mind, I don't want it. As hungry as I am, I don't want it because I don't like your attitude about it. And so you're so right, Mahogany. It's like, we have to take better care of our mental health. And a lot of us don't like to talk to people because we don't want nobody in our business and all the other kind of stuff. Like, bro, these people went to school to do what it is that they do. Go talk to somebody. You know, I get it. Faith is great. But after you pray, go see a therapist. Please. It's okay to see somebody.
A therapist, a best friend, a tree. Just let it out. Just let it out.
And I personally go to the water and I just let it out. Like, they look at me like I'm crazy, but I don't care. I don't know them. Like, just let it out so that you can be empty of you, so that you can help other people get what it is that they need. Malcolm, you are too quiet. Don't make me call your name.
My last piece I'll just say is, you know, tap in, like we've been saying, like, you know, it's a lot on the mental. If you're creative, it's hard to think about the business aspects. You know, there's a lot of factors to it. So don't be afraid to tap into the resources. Like I said, I'm the small business arm of Catalyst, which has a lot of advocacy and different services. So just tap into your local resources.
All right. So we have like 5 minutes. So we're gonna do this real quick. Everybody give your contact information, your one last blurb about who you are, what you do, and then one word. If you can give the people just one word that you want them to take with them from this. I see your mind moving, Ash. That's why I'm calling. One word that you can give them. So we're gonna give them who you are again, your name, your organization, your social media handles, websites, whatever you want to give them about you, and then one word that you want people to take with them. Ashley.
First, I'm still trying to think of the best one word I have. There's so many words going through my mind right now.
Oh, mine.
But my name's Ashley Carter. I'm one of the founders and co-directors of Eat Well Exchange. So the best way to reach us is Instagram, Eat Well Exchange. But we're the same on every platform: Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, everywhere we're Eat Well Exchange, all one word together. Our email is info@eatwellexchange. So yes, that's our contact information. But like I said, the best way is usually Instagram or email. And the one word, I know we've been talking a lot today, but I would say collaboration.
All right, Mahogany.
Thank you again for having me on this panel. My name is Mahogany Sherry. Once more, I work for Bacardi. Before I was Mahogany Sherry, I was Mahogany Jones before I got married. So my email address at Bacardi is mjones@bacardi.com. You can also find me on LinkedIn, on Instagram, on Twitter, as well as Bacardi. Follow Bacardi Limited 1862. On our social media channels so that you can figure out what we're doing from applications, grants perspectives, when things are ending, what things are picking up, how we're changing things in Black communities from Miami to LA. And like I said, we're really trying to shake shit up. I think one of my words, I'm wearing it today, is strong. Stay strong, stay healthy. As Blacks, as women, as people, continue to push through, because I think when we collaborate and we stay strong and we're committed to one another, we'll all do great things.
Malcolm.
Okay, so I'm Malcolm Cardona Spence. I am the small business manager at Catalyst Miami. We provide a host of services from advocacy to direct technical and financial assistance for businesses and individuals. My email is there on the screen, as well as catalystmiami.org is our website. So take a look around, feel free to reach out. And my word is community. It takes a village and we're all in this together.
It's my turn.
Yes, it's your turn.
I'm Danny of the Roots Collective. You can find us on Instagram at roots_collective. And I'm gonna give you the website link to the community fridge. That is rootscollectivemarket.org. And then you hit the tab Village Fridge. My word is perseverance. Just stay true to yourself, keep pushing, and you'll be all right. That's it for me.
That's it. All right. So I want to thank everyone for today. Definitely thank Anna and the Startup FIU food team for providing the community this time to have a conversation, and for Miami to let's talk about some things that we really need to talk about. I want to thank each of you and tell you that how appreciative I am of the open and honest communication, because we don't do a lot of that. And so for me, I don't know, I'm gonna kind of use all y'all words, right? And so in order for there to be true perseverance in our community, there must be strong collaboration. So I just took all of our words and just put them together. Somebody ought to write that down, because that might mean something.
That was fire. Fire.
Yeah, I don't know what I said, so I hope y'all recorded this. But that it's true. Whatever I said, that sounded good, and I think that's what it is, and that's a good wrap up. And I look forward to working with each of you. And if there is anything that I can do from the Defense Tea side of the business, as far as giving the fridge anything you need, cooking anything you need, whatever we have to do, so holla at you, girl. I'm only a holler away.
Yes. And just Danny, that contact information for donating, could you also stick that in the chat as well, please?
Yes.
First of all, this was the kitchen table talk that I got. This was a family conversation. I really felt like I was inside of somebody's house during a group convo. This was amazing and so inspiring. And each and every one of you, you're doing such important work. I don't think you even understand the importance of the calling of the work that you do. And hopefully there'll be more platforms like this to shine a light. Sometimes you can get so busy in the weeds of the work, you don't pause to assess what you've accomplished. Not everyone wakes up in the morning and decide, I want to feed the neighborhood. Not everybody wakes up and decides, I want to be proactive about the problem. It really isn't. And sometimes it's not necessarily a bad thing. Sometimes their circumstances are so dire they can't even consider looking up, right? You've decided to not just look up, you've decided to make change. And not only do we want to highlight this, we want to support this. I'm ready to put all the food in the fridge.
Yes. We need
Yes,
it.
I'm ready to put it on a bullhorn and let the world know about what you guys are doing. I am not a farmer, I am a eater, but I am definitely ready to support you, Ashley, in the work that you do. And, you know, it really does take this type of conversation of people who chances are would not have crossing over. And so now that you've all crossed over, the next step is to figure out, how do you collaborate? How are you all going to collaborate? We're actually, another department within startup is having a workshop on contracts, on government contracts. But you know, this conversation about collaborating and targeting neighborhoods could be the solution to a lot of issues so many people are dealing with. And everyone on this panel collectively could be the answer to a lot of problems for a lot of people in 2021. And so I just, man, I want to thank you. I want to thank you so much for what you do. I was hoping, Danny, you would have told the Thanksgiving story. I really was. I was hoping you'd share what happened, you know, when somebody stole one, the blessings came through. I'll try to, we'll see if you'll be willing to share that the next time. But I want to thank all of you. Mahogany, for shaking the table first. Okay. All right. Mahogany, you the reason why this turned into the kitchen table talk.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, thank you so much for joining us and for being an advocate and being a voice for communities of color at Bacardi. And hopefully you can take some of this, tell them what's being done in the community, and then we can circle back and talk about some solutions for 2021. Now, there are lots of chefs in the audience, okay? And however you guys are open to donating, especially during Christmas, let's do it. Let's figure out a way to give back. I don't know if you've been watching the news, but there have been very long lines for food, right? Very long lines for food. So many people have lost their jobs. So many people have lost these resources. And these are the kinds of organizations that are on the ground supplementing these challenges. And so I really do encourage all of you to volunteer and give back. I'm definitely looking forward to partnering with you guys and supporting you however you see fit. Startup FIU Food is here to support you. Sharonda, I'm supporting you forever. You know this. Forever. We are so proud of you. And you know, we're gonna have another day. Okay, you're gonna see my face tomorrow. And tomorrow, we're gonna talk about money. We're gonna dig deep into this conversation about capital for micro-sized businesses, especially for 2021. Those of you that have made this transition online, and panelists, if there's somebody on another panel that you want to connect with, please let us know. Tomorrow we have a VC, we have CDFI and a traditional bank, and we have SBA moderating the conversation about where is the money? Where is the money, and what can we do today that can help us become more sustainable and scale for 2021? We're also having a panel on digital marketing, experiential marketing. As you know, our farmers markets, our restaurant owners, the people who are doing all that good face-to-face stuff no longer have that. We brought in some experts to talk about ways of supplementing and making these changes to transition online. And I think the last conversation we're having is with Google. And so it's going to be Google talking about the various resources that are available to help bring some more attention to the work that you're doing. But definitely want to say thank you, guys. Thank you, Sharonda, Ashley, Danny, Mahogany, And we all appreciate you. We all appreciate your time and the work that you do. We're gonna share some of the information that you guys provided with everyone that participated today, so they can circle back and contribute to those who are contributing to us. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sharonda, you're muted, but
I stay after the day, y'all. Y'all know this Zoom.